Today I'm checking and adjusting the valve clearances on my Interceptor. No nonsense, no waffle, just a proper straightforward step-by-step guide to get it done. Now, as far as I'm aware, the process that I'm going to show you to actually check and adjust the valve clearances will be the same on all of the 650 twins in the Royal Enfield lineup. But if I am wrong on that, somebody please shout at me in the comments section. Chit chat staying to a minimum, let's crack on. Now this is really important. You cannot go checking your valve clearances if you've got a warm engine. It has to be cold. When the engine's hot, the metal expands and the clearances change. So any measurements you take will be wrong. Checking them cold as the manual specifies ensures everything is the correct size, your readings are accurate, and the engine will run as it should. That's the side panel and the seat removed. You already know how to do that. Next up, it's off with the fuel tank. The tank's held on with just 2 bolts here. Once those are out and you've unplugged the wires and pipes underneath, I'll show you those in just a second. It simply slides back and lifts off. Couldn't be easier. Do yourself a favour though, make sure there's not much fuel in it. It's already heavy enough without lugging around half a tank. Some people just loosen the bolts and prop it up with a bit of wood, but honestly, don't bother. Take it off properly. It's quick, it's easy, and you're far less likely to stretch or damage the wiring and hoses. Speaking of wiring and hoses, here's what you need to disconnect to get the tank off. 2 rubber hoses, the main fuel pipe, and a couple of plugs. To remove the main fuel pipe, you squeeze in the tabs on the connector and pull up. Okay, so this is the ABS modulator bracket. We're going to remove these 3 bolts, lift it up and pull it backwards. Next, I take the horns off. When I did the 300-mile service last year, I struggled like mad getting the valve cover out. When I put it back together, I removed the horns and it went back on with no fuss at all. Both horns take no more than 5 minutes to remove, 1 cable tie, 2 wires and a bolt on each side. I know some of you will disagree with me on this, and that's fine, you do you. Now I'm removing both the HT leads, but I'm not taking out the spark plugs just yet. With the horns removed and the HT leads tucked away, just look at all that room we've got to play with. The valve cover's coming off now, which is held in by 4 bolts. As you've just seen, it's still a ball ache getting the valve cover off even with the horns removed. Be patient and don't wrestle with it, that's how things get damaged. Work it gently and it will come off in the end. I'm taking the valve cover gasket off now. From the factory it's bonded at this corner with a bit of black silicone sealant, and I did the same when I serviced it last year. I'm easing it off with a plastic trim tool so I don't mark the cylinder head. Royal Enfield say you should replace the gasket every time the cover comes off. Truth be told, I didn't bother last year, I just cleaned off the silicone and reused it. But this time it's definitely getting replaced. Clean off as much of the leftover silicone as you can. I use the plastic trim tool again so I'm not scratching anything, and I cover the spark plug area so nothing drops down there. Once most of the silicone's gone, I take both spark plugs out. We'll be turning the engine over at the crank shortly, and with the plugs out, it's a lot easier to do. Using a 14mm Allen key, it's time to take out the crankshaft hole plug. The socket I'm using is actually from an oil drain plug key set. I'll drop a link to it in the video description, along with some links to similar tools I've used in this video. I've got a lot of Snap-on and Blue Point gear from my days in the motor trade, but honestly, you don't need expensive kit like that. There's plenty of decent stuff on Amazon that will do the job just fine. Turn the engine anti-clockwise using a 17mm socket and a ratchet. Here are the markings on the camshaft. We need to line them up with the line on the right. When the L is lined up, we adjust the valves on the left hand side. When the R is lined up, you've guessed it, we do the right hand side. Let me explain a bit more. So we've got a total of 8 valves on this engine. We've got 4 on the exhaust side and we've got 4 on the inlet side. Now, with regards to the engine markings left and right, it's as if you're sat on the motorcycle, so it would be your left and your right. But to make that even clearer, Royal Enfield have also put little markings left and right. You can't go wrong. I'm starting on the left hand side of the engine, so I need to check both of the exhaust valves and also the inlet valves on this side only. Make sure the mark for the L is lined up in the correct position. Using a feeler gauge, here are the measurements you're looking for. Inlet valves should be 0.08mm and the exhaust valves should be 0.18mm. Starting on the exhaust side, our feeler gauge wants to go in that gap there. Now that feels spot on. Let's try the other one. Keep your feeler gauge level. That feels good too. So the exhaust valves were good. It's the same process now on the inlet side, but we're using the thinner feeler gauge of the two. Let's see what these are like. I checked both of the inlet valves and guess what? They didn't need adjusting either. The valve clearances are perfect on this side. If we get the same situation on the right hand side, I will lose someone off and I'll show you how to adjust it. Right then, turn the crank again until the R mark is aligned. We can now check the valve clearances on the right hand side. And if you've never used feeler gauges before and you're wondering what on earth the right gap is meant to feel like, sorry, I should have explained this when we did the other side. Let me walk you through it now. The right gap on a feeler gauge should feel like a light drag, just a touch of resistance as you slide it between the valve and the rocker arm. You shouldn't be forcing it in there, but it also shouldn't be rattling around loose. Think snug with a bit of feedback as you move it back and forth. Oh, and when it comes to valve clearances, a fraction too loose is better than too tight. Both can cause problems, but tight clearances, especially on the exhaust valves, can do real damage if left unchecked. If you've checked the gap and you're still not convinced it's right, here's a little tip. Try a gauge one size bigger. It shouldn't fit and don't go forcing it. Then try one size smaller than the correct gauge. That should feel about as loose as a wizard's sleeve. If it does, you can be pretty confident you've got your valve clearance about right. Typical, the clearances on this side are spot on as well. When I did the 300 mile service last year, every single one needed adjusting. 7 were too tight and 1 was loose. As I mentioned earlier, I'll slacken one off and show you how to do it. I'm only doing one as an example, but the process is exactly the same for all of them. We're on the right hand side, so first make sure that our mark is still lined up. With a 10mm spanner, loosen the lock nut. Then use a flat blade screwdriver to turn the adjuster to open or close the gap. I keep the feeler gauge in while I'm doing this. It saves constantly pulling it out and putting it back in. It's a bit of trial and error to get it just right, but once you've cracked the first one, the rest will be much easier. When you're happy with the gap, hold the screwdriver steady, try to not press down on it, that can change the clearance, then tighten the lock nut. Check the gap again with the nut tight, and if it still feels good, turn the engine over 2 full rotations, and remember, anti-clockwise. Line the marks back up and recheck it. With the valve clearances now checked and adjusted, For another 12 months or 6,000 miles, whichever comes first, it's time to put the bike back together in the reverse order. Hitchcocks have sent me a brilliant rocker cover service kit. In it you get a new gasket, 4 new bolts and a set of fresh seals for those bolts. You can buy all the bits separately, but it's cheaper to just get the kit. Apparently, it's quite common for these bolts to snap. I doubt that's due to the quality of the metal. It's more likely people over-tightening them when refitting. Have you ever been unlucky enough to have one of these bolts snap on you? Let me know in the comments section. By the way, I think a lot of Royal Enfield owners assume Hitchcocks only deal in accessories and upgraded parts, but they don't. They've got full online parts catalogues for all of the popular Royal Enfield models. Yes, that's right, they supply genuine standard parts too. The stock they hold on the shelf ready to go is seriously impressive. I also like that you can search for the exact part you need yourself online. No more awkward conversations trying to explain it to a parts guy over the phone. So the next time you need a genuine part for your bike, check their site. Chances are it'll be in stock and probably cheaper than the main dealer. When it comes to refitting the gasket, I like to place it on top of the cylinder head first, then refit the valve cover. I just find it easier. If you fit it to the valve cover first, you're squeezing it past everything and there's more chance of damaging it. At least that's how I see it. Once the cover's in place, I lift the gasket up to it and push it into position. Before tightening the bolts, I add a small bead of instant gasket to the section we spoke about earlier. This is the stuff I use, and yes, I forgot to hit record when I did that bit. My apologies. When tightening, I go diagonally across from one bolt to the next, so it's even. They should be torqued down to 12 Newton meters, which really isn't much. If I'm being totally honest, I didn't bother with the torque wrench, just the tiniest tweak on my little quarter drive ratchet. I did the same last year and I didn't have any oil leaks. I'm going to start the bike up in a minute, check for any oil leaks, any fuel leaks, and also any strange noises coming from that valve cover area. I think it's quite a straightforward job, but if you are struggling with anything from today, if you have any questions, hit me up in the comments section. Now, I am by no means a Royal Enfield expert, but I will do my very best to help you out. And if you could help me out, if you have enjoyed the video today, give it a thumbs up, I really appreciate it. In the next one, I'll be carrying out an oil and filter change, and I'll also be replacing the air filter on the bike. It'd be great to see you there. Until next time, take care.